IL&FS situation, that incident happened on September 14 last year. I remember it very distinctively. And this was one of the largest NBFC of this country. Again, when you put into the context of the financial stress, the financial system is carrying, I believe that the NPL in aggregate terms was somewhere around, maybe 150 billion. And this one default could, add another more than 10% to the existing already quite stressful situation. This came as a surprise to everyone. The company was rated very, very high, and then there was pretty much of no indication, no warning this happened. So when this could happen to one of the companies like this, what about the rest? Any of the others? That actually, put a whole freeze on the market. You can see immediately after that, the banks all stopped lending to NBFCs. They are, all reviewing their lending to NBFCs, and the NBFCs, if they couldn't get their funding lines renewed, then they are also in kind of a stress, and then they stopped lending, to their customers. Who are their customers? These are SMEs, So that created that incident really created a very strong ripple effect. This has been now being reflected in the kind of a GDP growth result, right? Last quarter, the September, December, that GDP growth was, slowing down to 6.6% from 8.1% the previous quarter, and then further on, the first 3 months of this year, that coming further down to 5.8%. Very fortunately, the government managed this incident very, very prudently and immediately organized sort of new management and putting the large government-owned enterprises to take over the assets, at least, given a comfort the market. This is not going to get worse. And then the RBI very quickly reduced the reserve requirement for banks lending to NBFCs, and all sorts of things, monitoring NBFCs liquidity. As a result, no more default in that sector, and so a very huge potential disaster was sort of averted. The first thing that the IFC, as well as our reaction was, we have to help stand this, this negative strain of bad news. At that time, I don't know whether you remember, the currency in October actually depreciated to the historical low, to 74.47. I remember that was the lowest of that. With all this happening, what we did, very first thing in October, we launched $1 billion Masala bond in the market, and immediately placed out like 100 million of that fully subscribed to help calm the market. There were still many investors willing to come to India to take risk, particularly the currency risk. That is what the Masala bond signifies. That's the currency risk the foreign investors are willing to take. So, that helped. We also immediately stepped up our financial operations in the NBFC sector. We have organized now the figures are coming in, but a very large percentage of our lending actually went to the NBFC sector to basically to focus on 5 or 6 strategic objectives. Number one is the SMEs. Any of these NBFCs, if they can agree with the IFC to, one is accepting IFC's financial support, and 2, they themselves also put together their own resources to form a pool, to form a platform, lending platform. And then this lending platform is specialized for the SMEs, and that's what we have done. Many of the operations since last September, we did SMEs, especially those SMEs who have the focus on gender, like supporting female entrepreneurs who have some edge in supporting climate change, who are doing the rural financing, the agriculture equipment, vehicles, and on the low-income states and things like that. So there are 4 or 5 of these major strategic themes that we're supporting. In addition to the direct financial support, every year we do between $2 to $3 billion. So this year, large part of that actually went to the SME. In addition to the financial support, we're also stepping up our advisory services. We organized workshops with the regulators. We formed a lot of working group, working meetings, and with the government entities and ministries. We brought in panels of international SME experts to give consultation to the government. As an IFC, we do not do name lending. So despite this, highly rated or whatever, IL&FS, we had no exposure to that. We do very thorough due diligence. We want to understand any of these players, what's their vision, how they manage their business, and how transparent they are, what's the corporate governance. So we look into all of those. This is the same for the NBFCs. So many that we supported, everyone. It's not because you're NBFC we work with you. We do very thorough due diligence. We understand what they are trying to do, and particularly when we provide the financing, as I alluded earlier, that we want to see this being that the fundings are being used for really strategic things, the kind of things that the country that fill in the gaps of the need of the country. Credit rating is a very important tool for the investors, especially so many investors. Not everybody has the ability, like the IFC, to do the due diligence on its own. So you have to rely on that kind of information, and they do have their methodologies, to try to do the best that they can. And for some reason, they also seem to be some, gaps there. That I'm sure they are all trying to improve, trying to learn what happened there.